Three, two, one.
All right, lights, camera, action, baby. Michael, welcome to Everford Radio, my man. Finally, this has been too long in the waiting.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I know that we've been trying to put this on the calendar for a minute, and we're here. I'm ready to rock.
We are, man. And a lot of things I see in common in our journey and our mission and our habits, which we're definitely going to get into. But right out of the gate, man, I had no idea that you had roots in DC too, with one of your ventures, the Meatball Company. That's kind of my old stomping grounds as well. So now I can put a face to a meatball.
It's so interesting that so Meatball Shop is a New York City born and bred business, and we had an opportunity to try out a restaurant in DC for a year and see if it worked for us as our first out of market business. And we tried it out, and it was a small restaurant, and it did not work nearly as well as the restaurants do in New York City. And so we decided.
Where was it?
Oh God, man, I'm trying to.
Like DC, like DC proper.
Yes, DC
not
proper.
Like Arlington. Yeah.
Like 17th Street and I think it was 17th Street. And like O or H or something like that. I forgot.
Okay. Yeah. You're in a good run of restaurants and shops and stuff over there.
Yep. And so we had a good time. There was lots of, I remember there was lots of bumps along the way. I at that point, Meatball Shop, I had already sold the majority of my equity, and I was really just a board member and an advisor. But yeah, we loved being down in DC, and we tried a couple of restaurants out of the New York City market, and for whatever reason, it just didn't work as well as the New York City restaurants do. But
Oh man, DC food market is it's cutthroat. It's cutthroat. It thrives or kind of gets left behind, man. But the food scene is incredible there. So it's ringing a bell. I'm wondering when it was there, and because I'm like, I feel like I've had this before. I mean, I'm the sucker for meatballs.
I think it's got to be
stuff.
2018.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was definitely there.
Yeah.
The end of 2018 is when I moved to LA, man. So, who knows? Probably had a few meatballs as my going away gift to myself. But the food industry is something that you're no stranger to, man. And what I love about your story, what I understand of it is you took a passion for something that served you and that you felt so attached to, something that pulled you, and you made a life out of it for yourself. And in order to do that, it takes compound interest, compounding success, right? And by that, I mean stacking conditions in your favor through these little micro actions throughout the day and big actions in our life, such as habits. So how do you define habits? I'm curious. How do you define the word habit, and how does it look in your life?
It's a great question. I am my habits. We are our habits. I think of habits as decisions, choices we get to make that bring us either closer to or further from happiness and freedom. And I don't know if that resonates, but I will tell you that habits will make us or break us. And for years, because I grew up in New York City, I started working in restaurants as a kid at around 12 years old. I was deeply exposed to the nightlife in New York all throughout my teenage years and early 20s. And I partook in all the things that one can imagine a young kid does at night in New York City. And so drinking and doing drugs was part of it is part of my journey. And those habits really almost killed me. Actually, I overdosed and those habits almost killed me. And I got very, very lucky where I was 23 years old. I had sort of had enough And I was introduced to a couple of guys that thought I had what it took to change my life. And I know now at this stage in my life that anybody can change their life. Anybody. I'm not a unique person. I'm not a snowflake. Anybody can change. And I think I mentioned it to you before we started recording, but all it takes is all you got. That's just that quote for me means so much. And at that time in my life, I knew that I needed to make a change. I had a couple of guys that were willing to help me. I had no idea what asking for help meant, but they put a list of habits in front of me to commit to, decisions, choices, rituals, and said, hey man, like these are the things that we're going to ask you to do. And it's on you to make the call. But we promise you that if you make these choices on a daily basis, every single day, your chance of success here is totally attainable. And I was desperate at the time. I really was down and out. I didn't have much to stand on. I'd lost my job. I destroyed my relationship with my family. I had really been a terrible boyfriend to any girlfriend I had ever had. And I hated myself, truly, actually. And I say this to you, not even being able to fathom that sitting in the seat that I sit today, because I've done so much work on myself over the years. But I can honestly say with every cell in my body that I genuinely hated myself then. And these guys said, look, kid, here's what's going to happen. You're going to meet us at this gym. And I knew that the two of them were Muay Thai kickboxers, like competitive kickboxers, because the way I got introduced to them was through a friend who was dating one of them. And I looked up to these guys. I thought they were cool. I wanted what they had. And they said, you're going to meet us at this gym and we're going to walk you through what the next 10 years of your life is going to look like. And I said, all right, cool, I'll do it. And so I met them at this Muay Thai kickboxing gym in Chinatown in New York. And they put a pair of boxing gloves on my hands and they said, you're going to come here every day. And this is what your morning is going to look like. You're going to wake up at 8 a.m. You are going to get on your knees and ask God for help. And it doesn't have to be a God of any understanding. It's just something that is greater than yourself, the universe, whatever. You're going to ask for help. Higher power. That's going to be the first step of your day. And then you're going to have a huge bowl of oatmeal because you've probably been eating garbage for the last 15 years. And then you're going to walk to this meeting where we'll be at, and you're going to share about your story and talk about what's going on in your life and try to heal. And then we're going to go down to the Muay Thai gym together and we're going to kick your fucking ass. And we're going to teach you about commitment and discipline and humility. And we're going to teach you how to live. And then you're going to have a salad with chicken and broccoli. And then you're going to go home and take a nap. And you're going to go to work because I was working at night. And I was actually able to get my job back. And I'll tell you that story in a minute. But you're gonna go to work, and then you're going to have chicken and broccoli for dinner. And you're going to go to bed, and you're going to do it all over again. And that was the beginning of my journey in replacing my bad habits for the habits that I have today, because I learned everything. I really learned everything in that Muay Thai gym. That's the truth. I learned how to live in that disciplined structure. I learned how to take a punch. I learned how to get back up, which I think is the most important piece of all of this for me, is understanding that what happened a minute ago does not have to impact or predict what's going to happen right now. So as long as I get back up, getting kicked in the side and hitting the floor, if I want that to project what the future or what the moment looks like, I can, or I can just get back up and give it another shot. And so I learned that there. And I built the foundation and structure of my life and happiness today out of this commitment to fitness and nutrition. And that's where it all started for me. And so when you ask me about what is habit for me, habit is the decisions that I make on a daily basis to bring me closer to and or further from happiness and freedom.
I love your little attachment there to further away from or closer to happiness and freedom. I think that's a really important concept when we're, excuse me, when we're thinking about the habits and systems we have in our lives or lack thereof. I think that is a really great start or kind of a little twist on setting yourself up for success more quickly right out of the gate, or to just change your perspective to the systems and habits that you have or don't have, because I think that is going to help us attach meaning, much more deeper meaning, and develop the why. So it's not just doing things for the sake of doing them, right? For, I read this book or listen to a podcast, or I'm looking at success from another person. If we can attach our happiness and meaning to it out of the gate, then, I think it's a much more deep bond. And when we're making that connection, in your story there, man, you kind of remind me of a great book on habits, by the way, James Clear's Atomic Habits. I'll make sure to put that down in the show notes for everybody. There's this quote he has in there that it's probably one of the shortest, but one of the sweetest. And it's, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And you can interchange habits for systems there, I think. And when you were describing your story, it sounds like you were these other guys, these brothers, these mentors of yours, you were really building for the first time this new baseline of your systems, this new baseline of your habits, so that I'm assuming down the road, when you failed again, or when you rubbed up against a wall, or, were kind of questioning things, you had this new baseline that you would fall back to. You would fall back to this system, these habits that served you. So I'm curious, when you were building this new system, was it a realization of, wow, like I never did any of this before, and that is maybe what contributed to where I am today, having to kind of rebuild? Or was it this kind of unique perspective of, no, this is how you build healthy habits. What I was doing before was completely wrong or incorrect, or I just had a different mindset about it?
Well, I mean, I think the easiest way I can answer that question is fear is real in everybody's life, right? Like fear is a thing in everybody's life. Fear, however, is not actually real. It is it's a thought, right? Fear is a thought. It's not tangible. You can't see it or touch it necessarily. I mean, if somebody's running at you with an axe, like that would be a tangible way to say that is, fear in real life. But fear is real in everybody's head. We have a choice to live in fear or live with fear. And there's a massive difference there. When I live in fear, I'm allowing fear to make decisions for me, right? Because I'm in it. I can't see anything else. I'm in it. And I tend to be in fight or flight mode when I'm living in fear. I'm not thinking through any decisions. I'm reacting as opposed to responding. I'm really in fight or flight. Get me the hell out of here as quickly as possible. And for me, for many years,
the ultimate system override for humans. Yeah, it literally hijacks the brain. It's the ultimate human override if we allow it.
And for me, for years, that the ramification of living in fear was running from it through drugs and alcohol, right? when I was able to step away and start to live with fear, i.e. courage, and bring courage into my life, where fear is right on my side, where I'm actually utilizing fear as a motivator, where I'm looking at fear dead in the eyes and smiling and saying, I know you're there. I'm going to put my arm around you and run as fast as I can towards you. Because I know that the other side of fear is freedom. I just know it. I've experienced it. And it took a lot of asking for help and a lot of community support for me to get to where I am today, where I can honestly say that every single morning I wake up, I'm excited to run towards the fear. Like truly, I am a hunter at heart. I love running towards the fear. And my wife would probably appreciate it if I didn't want to run towards the fear as much as I do, but I really do love
maybe
running.
Start a support group.
Yeah. And so I today can say that I live with fear, and there is a big distinction there. And so the way I was living in my adolescence and early 20s was I was living in fear, man. And that's the massive distinction between what it was like then and what it is like now. That how I perceived fear and how I allowed fear or did not allow fear to penetrate my decision-making process. We all are able to have courage. We all are able to stand up and fight. All of us have it in us, and, cultural, environmental, those things can potentially impact our ability or hunger to want to fight. But I just know for sure that I've seen miracles happen in people that just turned it on and said, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna go. And and that's the difference between what my life is like now and where what it was like then.
I love that, man. And what you're describing there reminds me of this other side of fear. I think a lot of us can relate to, have experienced, or definitely will, when we are in this kind of rebuild phase, or when we're in this habit analysis, habit rebuild phase. There's fear that you're talking about of the unknown, fear of outside external threat. There's fear of failure. But in my experience, there's also been fear of succeeding. And especially when we were trying to establish or reestablish ourselves in the gym, in life, in our relationships, and in our spirituality, whatever, the unknown now looks like success because we haven't had that before. And there's still that amygdala response, that innate human response to when I think about or perceive something to be an unknown, something that I haven't experienced yet. Well, it's the same trigger for uncertainty of succeeding or being attacked by a mountain lion. It's this uncertainty that the brain can't handle that begins to kind of let anxiety and stress and worry and fear just kind of open the floodgates a little bit. So my question, Michael, is, did you experience any of that? And if so, how do you navigate fear of success any differently, if so, from fear of failure?
It's interesting. So I had a podcast called Born or Made for I don't know, about a year and a half, almost 2 years. And I decided to push pause on Born or Made this past October to focus on the launch of Creatures of Habit, and ultimately now relaunching a new podcast, the Creatures of Habit podcast. But Born or Made was a podcast that really dove deep into the nature nurture question, right? Are we born to do what we do well, or are we made over time? And are we supposed to be doing the things that we succeed at? And it was such a great podcast. I got so much incredible insight there. I believe that I was born with with the ability to just sort of take risk. For some reason, I can't describe it. When I was opening up the meatball shop, my first business, I was 28 years old, and I had never obviously done anything like that before, and raised money and went out in there and was ready to do this. And people would ask me, "Are you scared?" Hold on one sec. Let me just tell my kids. Hey guys.
Oh yeah, we're good.
Hey guys, I'm on a podcast. I'm on a podcast. Sorry about that.
I love how you can just say that I'm on a podcast and kids know what that is now. That's amazing. I didn't know what a podcast was until I was like 28.
Well, because we've been working from home for the last 2 years, my kids are very accustomed to dad recording podcasts in the office. And that means
daddy's having his quiet time. All right.
No screaming. But where was I?
You want to pick back up? You're talking about, raising money for meatball shop. Right. People asking, are you afraid?
Yeah. So people were asking me if I was scared. And I really did not feel fear. And most likely, I can only imagine that had I tried to attempt something like that in my days of addiction and absolute chaos, I would never be anywhere, have the ability, and or nobody would ever give me the money to attempt something like that. But I could honestly say that I probably would have a lot more anxiety around it. I simply just did not have a lot of fear. I felt like this was the right thing for me to do. And so I don't have fear of failure. In all sincerity, I really don't. I am one of the most optimistic, positive, glass half full always. I don't see the dark side of things, and that's why that can be dangerous too, right? I need to surround myself with people that can help. That'll basically be like, "Hey, Mike,"
the realistic, the logistical, the
right, the operators, the ones that are like, dude, you're doing 60 and a 30. There's speed bumps coming, and you're driving, a tractor from 1936. Like, you need to slow down. and so I do have people around me that can help me navigate and help me to see the bumps that I'm not seeing. But before I had the capacity to bring those people into my life, I had to learn the hard way. And I did. And I learned the hard way, and I failed. And I wouldn't change a single thing ever. I wouldn't change anything in my life. If someone gave me an opportunity to say, "Hey, dude, if you can go back and change anything you wanted," I would keep it all the same, everything. And there's a lot of trauma in my life, a lot of adversity, but I am incredibly grateful for all of it because it's made me the guy I am today, man. It's like it's the chipping away at the statue that makes the masterpiece, and the chipping away at the piece of clay or whatever it is, whatever medium you're working on, that ultimately in the fourth quarter of life, you're hoping becomes this legacy that you've made an impact on people. And so I really don't have a deep connection or identification with the fear of failing or the fear of succeeding, only because I really do think about everything optimistically. And I get a lot of shit for that. But
well, no, I'm with you, man. I can relate to a lot of what you're saying. And my words, my experience, not yours, but I'm curious if you can kind of maybe attach a meaning to this. I'm the same way. And this person in my life who brings me back down to the real world all the time is my wife. She's the logic driven one, the operations, the like, okay, Chase, get out of your vision. Sometimes, we need to play in the real world here. And I go full steam ahead as well. And when I've thought about this, chalk it up to, 5-6 years now being in, self-employed and entrepreneur. Maybe it's just, familiarity and confidence growing year after year. But when I really think about it, it's because, a very scientific term here, I've been through some shit. I have lived many, many lives in my short 36 years on earth. And when I think back into these life experiences of being active duty Army for 6 years, of being 19 years old and burying my father after passing away from a terminal illness, of suffering career-ending injuries in the military, and just going through all these life experiences, I'm on the other side of it now, but I give so much credit to all of those experiences, the shit storms, the pain, the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual torment that I have gone through. And I'm not special. So many other people have gone through it, yourself included. That's almost like a fear deflector. It's like every time we fall down, we go through this struggle, this hell on earth. It's like our fear, elixir, our fear anecdote kind of just gets stronger and stronger, so that next time, we can lean into it a little bit more, a little bit easier. And it kind of just dilutes the fear, I think, in my experience.
Well,
I don't know if that means anything to you.
No, 100%. And I also have a little sort of analogy that I think about when, life gets hard and life gets challenging. And, there are moments, man, where, I have an autoimmune disease too. And when the stress begins to rise in my system, my body.
Oh, so you're fighting every day.
Yeah, my body starts attacking itself. But the analogy that I use is that is actually one thing I would change, my Lyme disease. But
we'll give you that one. Yeah.
When you think about a mountain, right? You think about these like unbelievable athletes that are mountaineers, expedition experts that are climbing these massive mountains. They spend years training, grueling, and then they spend days, potentially weeks, waiting for the right time to step into the void of this like life-threatening feat of climbing this massive mountain, right? And it's so hard and it's so challenging, and they're willing to lose their lives. And the amount of time that they spend on the summit is like minutes. So,
please, real quick, just go back and say that again. Like, that is a very important concept.
The whole thing?
Just that part about spending as little time as possible at the top.
When these guys spend days, potentially weeks, trudging the pain to make it to the summit, where they spend a couple of minutes. And when I'm going through it, and when I have a lot of balls in the air and it feels like I'm all alone, I think about that. And I think about this quote that I've been saying for many years. Actually, it's not a quote. It's something that I've just been saying is, Mike, you've got to learn to love the hard and the hurt. Because if we can love the hard and the hurt, we actually become unstoppable, right? Because if I can truly embrace the climb, like really say, you know what, man, this is about the pain and the hard up. This is what it is. The summit is just the period of time where we get to really take a breath, smile. Don't forget to celebrate, because the summits are absolutely warrant celebration. But really, this journey that we're all on called life, in my opinion, is about the success anyway in this journey that we call life, is all about how well we are able to receive the pain and the hard times. Because if we can become comfortable there, we're going to learn, we're going to get stronger, and then we're going to be able to share our story and be of service.
Being of service, I think that's another really important concept here that we might not think of when we're talking about building a life of our design, improving our habits, establishing new ones. Because what I heard in your story there, Mike, was you have other people in your life that saw things in you that they felt compelled to kind of share these habits with. And you have other people that see your habits and kind of help guide you in terms of, staying true to your, true north, but also being mindful of the other people in the real world around us. And I think those are very important people to have in our life. And if we think about it, when we were laying down the groundwork, when we were establishing habits and we're compounding, growing, we're also being a model for other people. We're also being an upright citizen, whether that's one person that maybe follows us online or a family member that just notices one little thing that's different about us, whether that's, an uptick or a downtick. This concept of habit building and being a model to other people, I think is very important, because I'm sure those gentlemen that brought you under their wing, they were doing the same thing for themselves. They were establishing habits and rebuilding their life. And in doing so, that is how they were able to see what you needed or what they thought might serve you and yours. Can you maybe shine a light for us, please, there on this concept of the habits we establish and the habits we build for ourselves are not just for ourselves. It's also for those that matter most around us.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'd like to do is to walk you through my morning routine. Because
here's the perfect example. Here's the model. Absolutely, yeah.
My morning routine has it is not original. I certainly did not come up with all of the things that I do in the morning. I've adopted them from other people, but I have strung an enormous amount of small little wins together every single morning to help me be my best version of self and set myself up for success on a daily basis. And I've shared this with lots of people, and it's been helpful for lots of people. And I think that's where the service component comes in. So my morning routine is just like this. I wake up at somewhere between 4:45 and 5:15 every day. I do not set an alarm, but my body clock wakes up on average around 5 a.m. every single morning. I quietly take off my my eye mask, and I look up at the ceiling, and the first thing I do is smile from ear to ear. And I really do smile from ear to ear, like shit-eating grin. Pearly whites out, uncomfortably large smile. Just like this.
Unapologetic gratitude, man. That's what it sounds like.
Just forcing it, because lots of us wake up with anxiety and stress. And I have learned that forcing serotonin into my system immediately in the morning through smiling does help to combat the anxiety and stress right out the gate. And so I do that. And then I tend to think of my wife and my two kids. The image that comes into my mind for whatever reason every morning is my wife and my two kids. We're sitting down at our breakfast nook at our house having breakfast together, and it makes me really happy. And so that is how I kick off my morning. And then I make my way into the bathroom. I take a piss, and I'm a competitive bodybuilder, so I typically step on the scale because that's what I do in my sports life. And then I brush my teeth, I wash my face, and I put on face moisturizer. I then drop down to my knees, and I have a morning prayer that I say every day for about 3 minutes. And then I do 50 push-ups. And then I quietly walk back out into my bedroom past my wife, and I head downstairs, and I immediately light candles in my kitchen and sort of breakfast area. And then I have a glass of about 20 ounces of water, and I squeeze the juice of half a lemon into that water. And then I do 2 pinches of pink Himalayan salt. I mix that up. I drink that down, and then I have athletic greens. I've been having athletic greens every morning for a long time.
Hey, shout out AG1, baby. Yeah, great stuff.
Lots of athletic greens in my life. And then
Yeah.
I start prepping my coffee. And sometimes I'll set up my coffee the night before, so all I got to do is just turn on the water to pour it over. But if not, I'll just start prepping my coffee. I get my coffee prepped, and then I go sit down to meditate. I meditate for 10 minutes before I have my coffee. By the time I'm done with my meditation, my coffee is like at the perfect temperature. I then walk over, grab my cup of coffee, sit down with my journal. I write in my journal every morning. By the time I'm done writing in my journal, it's about 6 a.m. or so. My older son, Finn, has made his way down to the kitchen, and he sits down, crawls into my lap. And I get emotional when I think about it. It's one of my favorite parts of my day. I love my sons and my family, but that moment that I get in the morning with my older son, Finn, is just like, I just can feel like I could, like the love that I have right now, just talking about it makes me, emotional. And so I get that time in the morning with Finn alone, and we hang out, we talk about, whatever. And then the rest of the fam comes down. And I hang out with the family from like 6 to 7:15, at which point I will go upstairs and read 10 pages from a book. Sometimes I miss that. Sometimes not often, but I've gotten really into the habit of reading 10 pages every day. And then I have a pre-workout, and I head to the gym. I work out for about an hour and a half. And then I come out, and the first thing I put into my body is the Protagonist, which is the oatmeal product that I created, this superhuman, incredibly functional instant oatmeal. And then I'm typically sitting down at my desk by 9:30 in the morning. And that's my day almost every day. I pretty much run that routine. On the weekends, a few things are left out. I'm not sitting at my desk at 9:30 in the morning. And on Sundays, sometimes I'll just allow myself to sleep a little longer. But that's pretty much my day. And I can honestly tell you, man, like, I know that sounds crazy structured. I know it sounds like almost robotic. But here's what I'll tell you. It's about 17 things that I do. And each one of them is a real win for me. The brushing my teeth, the washing my face, the moisturizer, the prayer, the 50 push-ups, the smiling, the lighting of the candles, the water, the athletic greens, the awesome coffee, the meditating, the journaling. They are all wins. So by 6 o'clock in the morning, I have literally won 17 times. Anything the day has to throw at me, my ability to respond to what the day throws at me as opposed to react because of those things that I do in the morning, my ability to make great decisions throughout the day are far greater, far more attainable without that stuff. And so I believe in those morning habits, that ritual, that routine. I believe in that with every single cell in my body. If anybody is looking to make a change in their life, implement just one of those things. Try to commit to just one of those things. I think one of the most important things that I've done is waking up early in the morning. Waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. The amount of time I've earned back into my life, and I say earned because it's not easy waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. But the amount of positivity I've earned into my life when I started waking up at 5 a.m., it's just, it's invaluable. It's invaluable. You could never put a price on it, you know?
Yeah. And the proof is in the pudding, or should I say the proof is in the oatmeal, man. And your habit stacking here and this life you have built for yourself has also quite literally built a business. So let's switch gears here as we begin to kind of go into the latter half here, the latter portion of the interview. This has now yielded a new business, man. So you've taken your habits and these things, or this one particular thing that served you, and you've created a product, created a business out of it. So let's shift gears into kind of like the business aspect here. And how did Creatures of Habit come about? Well, you kind of just told us. What is it, and how is it serving other people now beyond just serving you?
Sure. I mean, Creatures of Habit. I started thinking about Creatures of Habit at the end of 2018. I was running Seymour's, the restaurant concept that I founded in 2015. And I knew that I was ready to take a step back and start creating my new business. And that's sort of like that's sort of how I like to do it. I create something, build value, run it for 3 to 4 years, find great people to take it, take it from 5 to 50, and then zoom out and sell equity and then create again. And so I knew that I wanted to create something new. I knew that it had to be in wellness, just because, the cornerstone of happiness in my life today and for the last many years has been my passion and my commitment to fitness, nutrition, and mindset. And so I knew I wanted to do something there. And so I came up with this idea of Creatures of Habit because, like I said, habits have created a life beyond my wildest dreams for me, my commitment to them. And so initially, Creatures of Habit was going to be a restaurant. And I was building out this idea all of 2019, completely sold, the majority, and I didn't sell all my equity, but sold the majority of my equity in November of 2019 at Seymour's. And I was off to the races to find a location for this Creatures of Habit restaurant. Of course, as we all know, 2020 came around and the pandemic hit and the world changed. And I had to make a decision of what I was going to do. I just watched the industry that I had built a career in and spent my life working in come to a crashing halt. And I said, man, what am I going to do? I didn't know what I was going to do. And so my wife and I made a decision to move to our house upstate and see if we can weather the storm upstate. And I said, I'm going to take 3 months to really figure out what the next step was. And I was on a run up here, and I said, I love oatmeal. Oatmeal really is where I began my journey in nutrition and wellness. These guys 17 and a half years ago, this is the first thing that they told me to eat every day. And I have been eating oatmeal as my first meal every single day for 17 and a half years. I believe in it. And I said, nobody's really optimized oatmeal. Nobody's really made a superhuman version of oatmeal. And oatmeal is a massive market. Lots of people eat oatmeal. So I just had this idea, and I said, you know what, I am going to, because the way I've been eating my oatmeal for years and years is I got my oats, I've got my protein powder, I've got my pink Himalayan salt, I've got my chia seeds, my flax seeds, my pumpkin seeds. And on the side of that, I've got my omega-3s, my probiotic, my digestive enzymes, my vitamin D3. I had all this stuff on my counter, and it took me 20 minutes every morning to make this awesome oatmeal that I've been eating for years. And I said, I am going to help offer this habit that has really changed my life, or at least was a catalyst and tool in helping me change my life. I'm going to package it and make it very, very simple for other people to easily implement into their life as a daily habit. And if they can commit to one great thing, and that would be it, that would be the one great thing that they commit to, I will have potentially impacted more lives than I do in the restaurant business. And that's when I just said, that's it, I'm doing it. It was literally on a run. And, I got back from that run. I wrote down all these things. I actually came up with the name, the protagonist on that run. And I got to work, man. And I said, I know that I can share this habit that has really, truly been something that it is probably the only nutritional commitment that I have stuck to for all these years. It is my favorite meal of the day. I just love oatmeal, man. I really do. And when you
Team
add,
oats all the way, baby. I'm with you.
yeah, when you add all those things to it, it becomes not just oatmeal. It becomes this incredibly functional, optimized, I like to think of it as like this superhuman food that fuels the body, right? The macros are incredible, especially in the beginning of the day. It doesn't have to be breakfast. For me, I don't eat until after I train. So it's typically my first meal of the day, which is at around 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. And so, but it's an amazing breakfast. It's an amazing pre-workout meal, post-workout meal, late afternoon meal. It's a meal. It's not a snack. It's 350 calories. It's, 40 grams of carbohydrates, 30 grams of protein, 8 grams of fat. I mean, it's like a really satiating thing, but it is truly
that's solid.
optimized. And I went to town and I spent a year working on the formula, and I launched it in August of 2021. And what I also did with the brand was I wanted there to be a real lifestyle component to it. I didn't want to just be an oatmeal company. And so I created this amazing line of apparel because I love apparel. I love lifestyle. And I've always wanted to design a small capsule collection of apparel. So I created a completely custom cut and sew awesome line of comfort apparel for people to purchase as if they were buying a jersey from the team that they support, like that's the way I see it.
Tapping into that lifeblood, man. It's not just a product. I mean, you're creating a lifestyle, and like there are multiple components to a lifestyle.
100%. And so that's why Creatures of Habit is a true lifestyle and wellness brand. And we will have more products, over time. But, I really wanted to own the oatmeal space. I really wanted to own the optimized oatmeal arena. And there's no fillers, there's no gums, there's no stabilizers, there's nothing bad in it. It is all really, really good. It's really, really delicious. It's incredibly versatile. You can make it by just adding hot water. It's made in 2 minutes. You can make it in a smoothie. Just, throw it into a blender with a little ice, a little almond milk, and maybe a banana. You can throw it in the microwave, and you can also do it overnight, which is probably my favorite.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, and I have a promo code for anybody listening. If anybody wants to jump on the Creatures of Habit bandwagon, you can use EverForward.
I do.
Yeah, EverForward 15, EverForward, the number 15 for 15% off your first order. I would really love it if you guys gave us a shot. I think you're going to love the product. It's really, really awesome.
Hey, Michael, we appreciate that, man. Seriously, I'm going to jump in on that. I keep, up until this point, I've kept Bob's Red Mill, I think, in business every day with their old-fashioned oats. So time to upgrade a little bit here, I guess. Well, Michael, I just want to acknowledge your story and your time here today. Thank you so much for being a model of what a life can look like when we decide that we can charge into fear and live with it instead of being scared of it and running. And what can happen when we just compound success, when we compound one little habit after the other. So truly, man, no small feat. And so part of that, I think, ties perfectly into my final question here. It's the last question I ask everybody. To bring it home to the mantra here at Everforward Radio is to live a life ever forward. Is how do we bring awareness and attention into these key markers for our life to just move the needle all the way, or even just 1% here today? That's what I mean when I say live a life ever forward. And you've been a great experience of that definition, but I want to get your definition, man. So those two words, what does it mean to you? How do you live a life ever forward?
Understanding that self-care and self-love is truly the door that opens up happiness and service towards others. And it's not selfish. It's selfless. When we're not feeling well inside, it is almost impossible to be available for the ones we love. And so how do we live ever forward? Make self-care and self-love a bigger part of your life. Commit to yourself. Invest in yourself. Believe in yourself. That, in my opinion, is the thing that people leave out far too much. Those little things, man. Those little things in the morning, that that can make us feel good. And a byproduct of us feeling good is being great towards others. And that combination, us feeling good, us being great towards others, it's happiness, dude. That's it. And I've said it many, many times in front of my wife and kids. I put myself first. That doesn't mean I sacrifice like my time with my wife and kids. Like I said, right? I wake up at least an hour before any of them so that I can focus on myself. So you can better
be with them. You can better serve them come time.
I am a better father, husband, son, brother, business partner, business owner, friend when I am feeling well inside. And the only way to get well inside, it's a daily operation. And we have to do things that make us feel good. And, what you put into your body and how you move your body really will determine the decisions that you make.
Beautiful answer, brother. There's never a right or a wrong answer. It's your personal interpretation, and it truly means the world to me and my audience. So thank you for that. Michael, all of your information, everything we just talked about, it's going to be down in the show notes for everybody to check out. But if they want to go somewhere right now, where can they go to learn more about you and the amazing work you're doing for the world?
They can follow me at Michael Chernow on Instagram. That's kind of where I really spend a lot of my time in terms of my my social stuff. You can check out Creatures of Habit. That's Creatures with a K, at Creatures of Habit on Instagram or creaturesofhabit.com. Make sure you use that promo code if you want to try something, everforward, the number 15. And you can pop over to my website, michaelchernow.com. The truth is I really don't keep that thing up as much as I should, but really it's to see what I'm up to. Instagram at Michael Chernow is the best place to go.
Beautiful. Michael, thank you so much, man. Thank you everybody for tuning in here today. Check out Michael's work. Check out Creatures of Habit. You're gonna enjoy the ride for damn sure, and hopefully take home something you can apply. Just one little habit, one little optimization, one new thing. I know I have, man. It's been a great piece of content to follow.
Thanks, man.